Okay, ready? We'll go. Recipe demo.
Yeah. Take one.
Okay. Hey, this is Richard. I'm here with Taylor Clark, who's our chief data scientist. And today we're going to walk through a demo of our OneAI recipes. Taylor, I'm a data literate people analytics person, but I'm having some trouble building out an attrition prediction model. Can you walk me through how OneAI could help me with that process?
Hey, Richard. Yeah, no problem. So there's a couple different ways to do it, but the fastest and easiest way to do it is to use our recipe framework. So I'll show you how to do that. So starting out from the home page, I'm going to jump over to our augmentations, and I'm going to create a new recipe. We'll just name it example attrition, and we're going to select the classification, and we're going to use our augmentation query to get to our recipes. So this page is where you can select from a subset of recipes that are available to each site. We're going to do a voluntary attrition model. And so what you'll see here is OneAI is going to ask us a series of questions to help us construct the data that goes into the predictive model in the machine learning process. This is unique because it allows us to train off of our data and control what data is exposed to the machine learning. So we'll get a chance to filter and select different predictive attributes to make sure that we're both comfortable with the ethics and the data that's going to be included so that we can drive business value.
Yeah. So Taylor, tell me a little about what are some of these features I could change within the recipe?
Yeah. So on the recipe, our objective is to help you set up the correct data to achieve a certain task. So in this case, there's several different questions that are controlling who's going to be included. So if you only wanted to look at full-time employees and you wanted to look at them in history or today, you could control that here. If you wanted to construct a label that was not looking at voluntary attrition, it was structuring attrition in a different format, you could do that here as well. And then in the latter portions of the recipe, we're controlling how far into the future we want to predict, but also how much history is used. So that allows you to control, if you had lots of restructuring and things like that in the past, you can exclude that data or you can decide to include it if you want to. Yeah, so this is a non-filled out one. If you walk through all these questions, you would fill out and propagate this problem statement. So you'll always know what you're achieving at the end of the day. But I'm going to switch over and show you one that I already filled out. So this recipe and this problem statement, you can read through it and understand who's going to be included in the training process, what you're actually going to be predicting, how far into the future you're going to be predicting, what's going to be available to OneAI to decide to use to predict, as well as some engineered attributes to enhance the predictive value, and then how much history is being involved as well. And any of these things you could actually click on and jump down and configure if you disagree. So if you wanted to change how much history was used, you can just jump down here, and now we're using 2 years of history. Yeah, and you can see now our recipe's updated, so you can always jump back to this top statement to see a summary of what's happening.
So Taylor, if I needed to explain what was going on or talk about this, is this a black box model?
No, yeah, we avoid black box models as much as possible. So we've gone to great length to completely control all of the data that's coming in. And there's a whole nother set of screens here that we're not going to look at today that show exactly what OneAI is doing with every one of these attributes, whether it's including it in the model or not, and what algorithms are ultimately used. So if you're interested in seeing that, definitely reach out to us from a demo. But all these models are built on your data, and you will have full transparency into how well they perform on your data, not on some data set that has nothing to do and is not representative of your company at all. So you'll always understand, is the model actually good on our data?
Taylor, what does this look like at the end then? Does the data have to leave the system? Does it come back in?
That's a great question. So at One Model and through OneAI, we keep all of the data within the system. So even though you're controlling what data OneAI actually sees and uses in the model, and you're choosing if you want that data to re-enter into the environment where you can build storyboards upon it, it's never leaving the system. It's always within this closed ecosystem, so you have full control over your data.
That's great to hear. Do you have an example storyboard we could see?
Yeah, definitely. So there's, as I mentioned before, there's a number of steps after you set up this data where OneAI is going to do a bunch of machine learning for us and give us a bunch of explanations about what happened. But we believe that a human in the middle is a key part of that process. So not only control of your data, but also being able to make decisions about what happens to your data. So there's steps in between that. But if you became comfortable with this model, you could choose to deploy it. And if you did so, Then you can access it on a storyboard like this. You can slice and dice the data. You can do a bunch of different visualizations. You can do forecasts and all kinds of things to get a better understanding of attrition and how it might play out for you in the future.
That's great to hear. Thank you, Taylor. If there was a predictive model or something I wanted to do with the data that wasn't in that dropdown of recipes, does OneAI have a way to help me with that too?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the recipes are a really fast and easy way to set up content, but we have a full AutoML solution where you can customize everything that you could ever want. So you control, I want the model to use these features. I want them treated in this way. I want the algorithm to be this algorithm. I want it to have these settings, all the way to the nth degree to build a completely custom model that behaves exactly the way you want. With exactly the data you want. Yeah. And if you're interested in that, reach out to us and we can give you a longer demo to show how you could do some of the more advanced and custom configurations.
That's great to hear. Thank you, Taylor. I've got my attrition model and I'm excited to get to work.
Awesome.